Championship game. A key piece of the Lions' rise, the aggression of head coach Dan Campbell in big spots, something wideout Amon-Ra St. Brown loves.
We understand, going into games that if it's 4th and short and we're in the plus territory or whatnot, we're probably going to go for it. And so that's, like you said, that's our identity. That's all I've really known since I've been here. When it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and we get, we call a play that's only designed to get 6 or 7 yards, it's because we're going to go for on 4th down. So me as a player, understanding that it helps me out in certain situations because I'm not trying to, my route is at 5 yards. Don't try to push it to 7 yards to get the first down. Run the route at 5, catch it. If you don't get the first down, that's fine. We're going to go for it on 4th down. It kind of has helped, I feel like, our whole offense because early on we didn't really understand it, but, as we kept doing it, it kind of made sense. I feel like we're all bought in.
Just fantastic stuff from the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny. Check it out. She has amazing interviews like this all the time, as well as her own commentary. Amina, what else did you take away from Amon-Ra St. Brown?
He just said something right after that I thought was so important, which is, I asked him about, okay, this organizational buy-in that he describes. It's really what you heard there when he talks about kind of understanding the intention of the play calling on 3rd down. And he said it's a lot easier when you have the same staff in place year after year. And I just think that's so underrated when we talk about teams not just being competitive, but potentially making it to the Super Bowl. That culture that's instilled that you don't have to reteach season after season. And of course, that also includes play calling. The fact that they were able to retain both their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, and their defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, both head coaching candidates this season, is massive. Laura, I think about the Kansas City Chiefs and what I think is fair to call a dynasty at this point, or the beginning of a dynasty. Number 1 most important thing, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, Andy Reid. But I would argue such an underrated piece of that has been their ability to retain Steve Spagnuolo, their defensive coordinator, year after year. And I really think if we talk about the Lions making it to the Super Bowl this season, that's going to be such a massive part of why, the fact that they were able to keep their coaching staff in place.
Yeah, keeping Ben Johnson is massive. I mean, we've talked about that like months and months ago when it was first confirmed that he was like not going anywhere. And that continuity is massive, massive. We see teams take that step back, especially when they get so close to either making the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl, whatever it may be, pretty much like what the Lions had. And then they take a step back because those teams often do lose their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, lose a key piece here or there because of, just financial reasons. And that's not the situation that the Lions are in right now. They've been able to retain everything and not lose players and gain better players. And some of their younger guys are only going to be better because they are now maturing and kind of going into this veteran leadership role. And that's why I think like the expectations for the Lions can't be high enough. I think the Lions, the expectations has to be Super Bowl. Doesn't mean that you're going to win the Super Bowl, but that is what the objective is. Like, you've already entered the party where you're like, you had the experience. You could justify last season as not being a failure because not all seasons can be just graded on whether you win a Super Bowl or not. And I know how close the Lions were, but you could still be like, okay, we've done something. We've changed this organization. We are winners now. We belong. We're not just trying to fight and argue and convince everyone that we belong. We've proved we belong, and we automatically deserve a ticket for next year. And that's where the Lions are at right now. We can see Lions 5th in offensive efficiency last season. I have to imagine that that's going to go up. And then what does it say? Let me mute it though, since we've already listened to it. 5.9 yards per play, which was sorry, what is that? Yeah, 3rd in the NFL. I just have to imagine that has all the potential to even improve some, which is just wildly exciting. In a previous video, I already talked about the defensive upgrades and how that's going to tremendously help the Lions as well. Now, I do want to address, though, the whole going for it on 4th down. I understand it is part of their identity. I understand that especially the players love it and love to rally behind it. But when you are just fighting and scrapping to get by, going for it on 4th down makes total sense, right? It is your secret weapon. It is that ace up the sleeves. But when you've actually arrived, when you're actually winning, when you actually have a team on their back foot, when you are in the game and you are showing and proving that you are the better team, that they need to pull out all the stops to beat you, you don't have to go for it on fourth down. You don't have to keep doing that. And that's what the Lions had going against the 49ers in the playoffs. By going for it on fourth down in some of those situations, you open up the door now to letting a team back into the game. And again, we've seen none other than the Andy Reid kick plenty of field goals. Not always going for it on fourth down. So when you have the team, which the Lions have, they have the defense now. They have the offense. They have the continuity. They don't have to make up for any deficits. They should be going for it less on fourth down. It doesn't mean that they still can't be aggressive. It doesn't mean that they just stop going for it on fourth down altogether. But they no longer have to be this surprise team. Once upon a time, they needed to do punt fakes to shock a team like the Chiefs to beat them. It was harder for them to beat them straight up. Now the Lions have arrived. They can beat teams straight up. They can beat the Dallas Cowboys without having to go for it on fourth down or 2-point conversions. They can beat the 49ers without having to go for it on every single fourth down. They can do it. They don't need to rely on it. If anything, I'm potentially, and I can go back on this, am more of a proponent where if they're up, say, by 14, and they just really want to go for it, they can continue to go for it on fourth down. But even then, again, it opens up the door for giving decent field position, leaving points on the board, whatever it may be. So just because something also got you to a certain point, which is what it did, right? It did re-energize the Lions. It did give them an identity. It did make them winners. It made them relevant. Doesn't mean it's going to be the thing that's going to keep you there. We know that. We've seen that with so many players, so many sports, teams, professions, whether it's sports or not sports. Often the things that get you to a place are not the same things that keep you there. It's just not. You have to learn, grow, evolve, and adapt. And this team, although there's a lot of continuity, they are different from last year. They are going to play different teams. They're going to be in different situations. Nothing is ever the same. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Even if you had the identical team with identical coaching staff, it would still be different. Nothing is ever the same. So this idea, and that's my one fear for the Lions, that they buy into this, that this is who they are and this is who they have to be. And if they're not that, then it's like they have an identity crisis. They don't need that. They can be aggressive. They can be ruthless. They can be imaginative. And it doesn't have to be this. We go for it on fourth down. That's who we are. That's what we stand for. Let's go. You can evolve beyond that. And I think they will. I really, really do. But that is definitely one of the bigger storylines, or one of my, and I shouldn't say storylines because it's not a storyline, but one of the things that really interests me, that I have like my eyes, peeked up, my ears peeked up, whatever, to see how these games are called now moving forward. How aggressive are they? It's 4th and 3. They're up by 7, and it's the third quarter, and they're on their own 45. What are they doing? Right? Like, how aggressive are they going to be? Are we going to see more fake punts? Like, what are we going to see? They're going to go for it on 2-point conversions. Like, I'm really, really curious to see how this all looks. Because, like I said, the Lions have potential to be just too good, too great, too high-powered of an offense to have to rely on aggression to get them where they want to go. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that the Lions are en route to improve offensively? And do you think that they need to be able to still have that fight in them to go for it on fourth down and have that aggression kind of be their identity. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.